What if a zombie apocalypse happened? So, picture this. One morning you wake up, check your phone, and instead of the usual flood of notifications, you see just one headline: zombies are real. You might laugh, scroll down, maybe wonder if it's April Fool's Day in August. But then you look out your window and realize your neighbor is trying to bite his mailbox. That's when you know things have gone downhill. Now, movies usually give us two kinds of zombies: the slow, shuffling grandma at the supermarket type, and the fast, screaming parkour champion kind. For fairness, let's go with the slow ones. Still terrifying, but at least you can outrun them with a decent pair of sneakers. Here's the problem, though: zombies don't quit. They don't get tired, they don't stop for snacks, and they definitely don't respect your personal space. The first week would be chaos. Cities? Forget it. Imagine rush hour traffic, but with more screaming and less honking. Power plants? Shut down because engineers generally don't stick around after being bitten. Grocery stores? Emptied in hours. And let's be honest, you're not surviving long on a diet of ketchup packets and half a jar of pickles from the back of your fridge. Military intervention sounds cool in theory: big tanks, helicopters, the works. But armies need fuel, bullets, and food. Once supply chains collapse, the high-tech war machine becomes just a bunch of very hungry people in camouflage. And if there's one thing scarier than a zombie, it's a soldier with no lunch. Meanwhile, rural areas seem safer. More space, fewer zombies, chickens that don't try to eat you, usually. But farming is harder than planting a potato and hoping it becomes French fries. And zombies, no matter how slow, eventually wander into the countryside. Think of them like spam emails. They just keep coming forever in greater numbers than you thought possible. Fast forward a few months. Cities are crumbling, the Wi-Fi is definitely gone, the real tragedy. And the zombies themselves, well, they're falling apart. Literally. Without circulation or repair, bodies rot. Summer heat, insects, rain, nature starts recycling them pretty fast. Within a year, most zombies would be less apocalypse monster and more wet piñata. But here's the twist. Even when zombies are gone, the world isn't magically fine. You still need clean water, food, and maybe someone who remembers how plumbing works. And that's when the real apocalypse begins: humans versus humans. Nothing says team spirit like two survivors fighting over the last can of baked beans. And then comes the slow decay of progress. At first, survivors cling to what's left: old generators, dusty textbooks, broken radios. But as years go by, things stop being repaired. Knowledge fades. The last person who knew how to fix a wind turbine dies, and the community goes back to candles. Children grow up in a world where skyscrapers are just empty mountains of glass, where roads are overgrown, and where the internet sounds like a myth, like dragons or flying carpets. Humanity doesn't just survive the apocalypse. It regresses step by step into something smaller, dimmer, and quieter than before. And here's where the absurd irony kicks in. In the end, the zombies rot away, but it's us who become the ghosts of our own civilization, living among ruins we can no longer understand. So, if the apocalypse came tomorrow, what would you choose? Fight every day to keep the memory of our world alive, or accept the collapse and start over from scratch in the ashes of what used to be? Tell me in the comments, are you team survival of knowledge or team reset of humanity?